Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. I just figured I'd give everybody an idea of where we're at in my fish room because, well, I'm enjoying my fish room, so I hope you enjoy my fish room too. I just fed, so these guys are all out and about. I don't want to get too close and scare them away, but the cribs are doing great. Everybody's happy and healthy and doing their thing. Got I think I've got cribs that are taking up residence down in that little cave. It'd be nice if they spawned. I mean, I don't need them to spawn. I like the way the fish look, but if they did spawn, that'd be cool too. The Drachenfelsai, I do want to spawn. They're doing lovely. You can see both of them are out right now. Aren't they beautiful? Oh my God. I love these fish. The mollies are doing great. They're in there too. You can see one there at the surface, pooping, having a mighty poo. Yeah, everybody's doing good. This tank I tried to get into today, the guppy tank. I tried to get into it to get some hair algae out, and it's literally impossible. I've got Popeye forearms from years of manual labor and carrying heavy things with just the power of my grippers. And anyway, I've got big forearms and I can't get them in through that tight little spot. That's just not happening. So I got to do something. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't want to put up another stand in here because if I put up another stand, it'd have to go over in here and I wouldn't see it. So this aquarium, you may notice I have not put in I have not put the fluval in yet. The Turkana jewel that was having a problem is finally dead. He died last night or early this morning. He was fine when I went to, well, I mean, he was doing his normal thing when I went to bed. Everybody else is doing great. I did just feed. That might be why there's a little bit of haze in the water, but the water isn't nearly as hazy as it was. It's calming down. And so we're gonna see. We're gonna just kind of let things ride for a little bit. Now I do have the Fluval FX6. I have not set it up yet, and let me just discuss the reason why. If I can get away with filtering this aquarium with just air, I would prefer to do it. In the long run, I intend to take the two giant pumps that are running my big aquarium that are down there because they make so much noise, and I'm planning on putting them in that room and running piping through the wall. I'm always going to have bubbling, and I get it. You know, like this room, I was running this room. I know I'm going off on tangents. But I was running this room on mostly back filters, hang-on backs, and canisters. And I had a lot of tanks. I had more tanks and more lights in here than I do now. And it was a magic electrical bill. Because not only do all of these things create heat that you have to deal with, but I also have a air conditioning unit that I installed on this side of the garage. This side of the garage is insulated, but you know it creates so much heat in it that the AC has to run a lot to keep it cool, and so it's just fighting against itself. It's just a huge electrical bill. So I got the linear piston air pump that has more than enough power to run everything in here, and my goal is to keep as many electrical motors out of here as possible. I mean, I can't get the heat from the lights out of here, but I can get the heat from pumps out of here. And I could also reduce the noise by not having the heat from the pumps. I mean, if you hear me without the noise canceling microphone on, it's very loud in here. I mean, I normally sit in here with earbuds on listening to music or listening to people talk about geopolitics, but it's still kind of loud in here. So adding, adding a 60, I think it's like 65 watts or something like that. Or 45 watts. It's a lot of wattage to add into here. Number one, that's heat for the room. And number two, that's noise for the room. And so I'm hoping to avoid it. I'd rather have more bubbles bubbling than more humming from canister filters. So somebody died last night. I don't know who that is. Interesting. Died and completely consumed. That's magic. I don't even know what that is. That's craziness. I didn't notice anybody do anything bad. Well, all right. Wow. I did a water change yesterday. That wasn't there. There was nobody in peril yesterday. So somebody died overnight. And man, that looks, I wonder if that's a catfish. I've got several Raphael catfish. I've got two, well, I don't know if I still have. I still have the two striped Raphaels. There's the second one. I'm wondering if I lost a spotted Raphael, or maybe did I lose? No, it's too big for I only have two large bristlenose. There's one, and then I just saw the albino one over here somewhere. Oh, there she is back there. I wonder what the heck that was. I guess we'll have to find out. Interesting. Interestinger and interestinger. Anyway, this aquarium, besides that, whatever the heck that was, seems to be doing good. I did a water change yesterday. Everything seemed to be in order. I did add another larger sponge filter. Just again, if I can get a little bit more mechanical filtration without adding more pumps, that's kind of what I want to do. So it is a pretty giant sponge filter. I've got a couple more of them too that I could put on here, and obviously I have more capacity with my air pump. So I might, if this stays cloudy, I might add more to this. I'm also planning on building up a rock pile over on this side that I haven't gotten to yet, but we'll see. I've accumulated a bunch of rocks. They're more of these red rocks just for my backyard. So we'll see. Interesting. That fish. I have no idea what the heck that was. So this aquarium, also doing good, staying relatively clear. Nobody's died in it. These two are still trying to make a hobbit hole over here. My boy's looking good. The rainbow cichlids looking good. Everybody's happy. I obviously did a water change on this one as well. I do a water change on all my aquariums every weekend. On Saturday, if I don't do it on Saturday, I'll do it on Sunday. This weekend I did it on Saturday. So this aquarium I've had a bunch of problems with. You might notice I took off the AI blade light because I think that light was just causing more trouble than it was worth. I didn't have it turned up all the way, but man, I mean, you could just see the algae problems I'm having. So I did two things. Number one, I turned up the, I don't know if you can see it bubbling away back there, but I turned up the CO2 quite a bit. Number two, I had this laying around, this is the Tidal 110. You're going to say, well, John, I thought you didn't like Tidal 110s. Well, I don't, but there's two positives about this. First of all, it does have the, you can't really see it, I guess you can, but it does have that skimmer, and I had duckweed in here. I have duckweed in here. So hopefully it'll get rid of all the duckweed. And number two, you can see that it barely fits in here next to the AquaClear 70. whereas an AquaClear 70 won't fit next to this AquaClear 110. So not only does the Seachem have a smaller basket than the 110, and not only can it contain less filter foam, and I'm a filter foam fan, so underneath that is 4 sheets of the Tidal filter foam. But it is smaller, and so it fit there. So I figured, why not? We'll put it on there. The noise that it generates doesn't matter as much in here as it does in the house, so no big deal. The Shelleys are doing good. There's still 7 of them in there. In theory, eventually they're going to breed. I've only had them in there for... I see a baby fish. Oh, I see a baby fish. Oh, there's right there by the lighter shell near the back. Oh, there's a baby fish. I don't know if it's on camera, but oh, so cool. All right, so let me revise that. There are baby fish in here. So cool. So cool. At least there's one. And one is better than none. Very cool. Very, very cool. I was waiting for my Shelleys to start breeding, and they are apparently breeding, so it's all good in the hood. Perfect. Oh, there's another one down there. Interesting. So I've got a couple of little babies floating around in there, so that's all good. Yay. And then finally the big tank. Nobody's died in the big tank. It's all kind of messed up right now because there's food down there. Everybody's eating, generating lots and lots of dust and detritus. I guess since this is a longer video, I'll tell you how this is filtered. I've got 2 weirs, one on each side. Each side has a 1-inch input and a 2-inch output. So the side to the left, it just comes down into here through a filter sock into the sump. The sump is a 150-gallon aquarium, 6-foot, 150-gallon aquarium. On this side, the 2-inch return comes into this top bucket. This top bucket has filter socks on it. It's full of like 200 or so scrubbies. It also has a Fluval FX6 running on it. That right there is just a overflow bypass into the sump. Most of the water should go down through this connection into the bottom of this trash can that has these 2 linear piston air pumps just pushing a shit ton of air into it, and it's full of a lot of K1 media. And then it overflows into the sump. From the sump, it gets pushed into one of these 2. This is the Pond Guys 4500 or something like that, and that's an Ultima 2 Aqua. What is it called? Aqua UV Ultima 2. They both are rated for about a 2,000-gallon pond. And you're going to say, well, John, isn't this way over filtered? No. Initially, I just had the 2, I had the sump and the 2 pond filters. And this was gross, murky all the time. I mean, it gets murky when they eat because they kick up a lot of dust and debris. They're big guys who generate a lot of dust when they move around, but if I hadn't just fed, the water would be pretty clear. So the next step I did was I added the FX6 with polishing filter floss, a bunch of filter floss on it, and that helped. But I had pipes running up into the top of into the actual tank, and it looked bad, and it wasn't enough. And that's when I decided, I broke down and I added these 2 And these two are doing it. They between everything, it manages to keep this aquarium nice and clean. The water parameters stay great. I do have a ton of pothos growing in it, and the light down here is designed to grow a bunch of duckweed. So this is just a duckweed farm down here, and it grows a lot of duckweed. So it's managing to keep up, but there's a lot of fish in here. It is an overstocked aquarium, and most of these fish aren't done growing yet. So I expect the bio load to continue to increase. And that's why I'm going to go from 2 trash cans, 2 44-gallon trash cans, to 4. Because my best guess is that that's going to, number one, it's going to increase the amount of water available, and the solution to pollution is still dilution. So it's gonna add about another 80 or so gallons of water to the system that it didn't have, and also it's going to add a lot more filter media. I want to do a, what do they call those? Bog filters, where the water goes into the bottom and seeps up through rocks that go from bigger down to smaller and smaller and smaller rocks, and then at the top have some plants growing out of the top. I think they call them bog filters. But those are supposed to do really well on denitrating the water, as well as getting rid of ammonia and nitrites. It's supposed to really help get rid of nitrates. And I do, like I say, I do pretty big water changes on this every week. I do probably about a 200-gallon water change on this bad boy every week. It is a 600-gallon aquarium, plus the 2 44-gallon brute trash cans, plus the 150-gallon tote, plus the 2 very large canister filters. I would estimate I have about 800-ish gallons of water at any given time. And so 200 gallons is about a 25% water change every week. It seems to do the trick. Anyway, that's where we're at. Thank you for listening to me babble about my fish. I do love babbling about my fish. Oh, also, just for the fish room, I've got a giant air pump on the other side of that wall that's feeding this loop with all the drop downs. I do have a air conditioning unit that's designed for a much, much bigger room than this. And it manages to keep up barely. It's set at 80 degrees, and like today when it got up slightly over 100, it managed to keep it like at 82. And then I've got 2 dehumidifiers. Between the air conditioning unit and the 2 dehumidifiers, it manages to keep this place at, well, you can see about 44% humidity. Both dehumidifiers just run their excess water down into the big tank, because with the open-topped 150-gallon sump, that's probably where the bulk of the water is evaporating from. And that's another nice thing. Once I get all of the filtration for the big tank moved into the other room, there won't be this giant sump under here just evaporating. So bonus, another bonus. Oh yeah, somebody was talking about the red-tailed shark, and that's him. I do like red-tailed sharks quite a bit. Rainbow sharks aren't nearly as beautiful to me. The black on them isn't as dark black, and the red on the fins isn't as blood red. So I'm a real big fan of the red-tailed shark. There's an Australian YouTuber whose name I forget, not Gil, but it's another Australian fish guy who sells a bunch of Anubias out of his main aquarium. He's got one of these. It's just superb. And anyway, I saw his and I'm like, man, I want one of those. So there we go. And that's him. And that's my queen ancestris. Yep. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.